The Department of Homeland Security is apparently preparing for violence following the abortion ruling. Now, there has been no official abortion ruling. We are just talking about the draft that was leaked about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. And of course, if you know anything about the situation, it shouldn't come as a surprise that the Department of Homeland Security is preparing for violence because obviously this is a huge hot topic. There's a lot of questions about this whole debate here, and of course, there's people that are going to get violent. I don't think people should be getting violent, but I understand it because it is a huge moral question here about abortion, and it's a hard conversation to have, and it's especially hard to have a civil conversation around the topic. Nowadays and everything. But if we go into this memo here, where they just go on to talk about how most abortion-related violence from groups come from pro-life groups, but it's saying here that because of the leak that we could be seeing more pro-abortion groups being more violent, which obviously makes sense because Roe v. Wade, a lot of people see that as getting rid of the rights to an abortion or getting rid of their access to abortion, which just isn't true. Getting rid of Roe v. Wade is just going to make it to where the states can come up with their own laws and stuff again regarding that, which I'm perfectly fine with. California is going to make it to where they can have abortions whenever they want, probably. Texas is going to make it to where they can't have abortions really at all. And I'm fine with that, I guess. Personally, where I land with this whole situation is I'll always side with the side of life. I don't think killing a person is right. I don't think anyone has the right to kill a person. The conversation gets really muddy though, because obviously I don't want the government to be having control over people's bodies, but I also don't want mothers killing their babies just because they can't, they couldn't afford to have the baby, or they had second thoughts about it. If you consent to having relations with your partner and it results in a pregnancy, I think you should go through with that pregnancy, and I don't think you should terminate it because you brought that life into this world consenting, and I don't think you have the right to take it out of this world. You've created life. It's a human being. You shouldn't be able to just get rid of it like that. If we give parents the authority to do that, where would we draw the line then? Because life obviously begins at conception. It is a human life. It's in the mother's womb. It has to grow for the next 8 to 9 months. Obviously we do have technology where in some cases you can take it out sooner, but besides that, what gives the mother a right to kill it just because it's in her body? Now, I understand it's her body, but we're not talking about a situation where, rape someone forcibly, impregnated her. She didn't consent to that. I can see the argument there. She didn't consent to having the life put in her. It's her body. She should have the choice to get rid of it. Now, if we're talking about two consenting adults who know the risk of having relations, and they go on to have relations, whether it's protected or not, and it results in the pregnancy, I think they need to deal with it, and I think they need to accept responsibility for that. I don't think killing the human life is a good thing to do, and I don't think it's the right thing to do in that situation. There's always adoption. You can drop your baby off if you don't want it. I don't think killing it should be an option. And back to what I was saying is, where do you draw the line there? Because an infant that is just born, he's 10 months old, that thing isn't viable. Viability is always, or not always, is where a lot of people draw the line at. They draw the line at viability of the baby. Well, take a 10-month-old and, leave him in a room for a day. He's not going to be viable by himself. Infants need humans to take care of them. That's just a fact of humans. For the first few years of our lives, we need someone there every minute to make sure we don't kill ourselves because we don't know what we're doing. So how do you draw the line there? Like what changes in that human life from it being inside of that person to being outside of the person, other than it's now outside of the person? Like, I don't get that, because just because the person is inside of her and she consented to creating that life, she then gets to consent to also kill that life. I don't know. It's a really hard conversation to have. And like I said before, I'm always going to err on the side of saving human life. There have been people that I've talked to in my life who talk about, what if the baby has problems? What if he's got Down syndrome? What if he's got, autism and stuff like that? No, I do not agree with killing humans. I don't care if they have some mental disability. I don't care if they have some abnormality. It is not my place to say whether or not they get a chance at life. And if their parents, consenting adults, created him or them or her, whatever it is, I don't think we have the right to take that away from them before they've even been given the chance to experience life. They haven't even experienced life, and we're already saying that we're going to take it away from them because, they can't live a fulfilling life. Who are we to say what a fulfilling life is? I'm certainly not one to say what a fulfilling life is. Everyone has their own sort of fulfillment, and I don't think aborting a baby just because it has an abnormality is a righteous path. It is. I don't know how you can come to that agreement. You may try to justify it in your mind by saying, I'm getting rid of this person's life. He'll never have to suffer in his life with the abnormalities that he has. But who are you to assume that he will suffer? Who are you to assume that he won't have a great life? Maybe it's my fault for assuming that he will have a great life, but I much rather have the chance that he might have a horrible life than take the chance of him ever having a great life away from him. But that's just me. And not everyone agrees on that, and that's why this debate is happening today. Not everyone agrees that human life should be protected. Not everyone agrees that it is a separate human life. But it's a hard conversation to have. The government shouldn't be telling us what we can and can't do with our own bodies. But I do think the government should protect us from other people harming our bodies. So that's kind of where I fall in the abortion debate. It is the parent, it is the mother carrying the child, but the government's job is to protect human life. So it's a really hard question to answer. Do I think the government should be coming in and forcing people to remain pregnant? No, that sounds horrible, and the government's horrible at everything. I'm sure the way that would go about would just be god awful. But societally, I think we as a society shouldn't be okay with the murder of these infants. I've talked about how the first trimester, the first few months might be okay to abort the child. But if I were to really go down into detail and be like, all right, draw the line here or draw the line there, I don't really know where I would draw it at, because when I'm looking at the pictures, they all look like a human to me. And I just can't bring myself to say, yeah, no, it's fine. Just let them kill it. They can kill it whenever they want. And, there are some situations where the removal of the fetus is needed. There are stillborns that happen. The baby's no longer alive. I don't want the woman to go through the next few months with a stillborn in her. Just get rid of it. But then that's not most cases. In most cases, it's 93-94% of them is abortion just because they felt like it. And that is a disgusting number. We're not talking about rape. We're not talking about incest. We're just talking about people that had relations without a condom or any sort of birth control, and they're like, oh shit, I don't want to have a baby, get rid of it. And that's just not okay to me. Now, following this ruling, that's my opinion on that. Following this ruling, we have the memo out here. Obviously, people are talking about protesting in front of the Supreme Court Justice's house. A lot of people are talking about whether it's illegal or not, and if you do a quick Google search, you'll find out that it is, in fact, illegal to protest in front of a justice's house. The reason being is because the decision is not yet final, and they do not want you to go protest in front of their house and affect the decision of the judge. Say it wasn't a Supreme Court justice, and you're suing somebody for something, and while you're suing them, that their family goes outside the justice's house or the judge's house, and they protest him for the next week, threatening him and whatever else, not making direct threats, but vague threats, veiled threats. And then you come back to court and it's like, the judge sided with them. That's weird. Maybe because they were threatening them. So that's why it's illegal, to avoid situations like that. But people clearly don't understand that, apparently. Whoever with the intent of interfering with, obstructing, or impeding the administration of justice. So just go ahead and read that. I left it on screen, so go ahead and pause it and read that. You go on to read it, it clearly says that you are not allowed to, protest or threaten them or basically make any noise in protest around their residence. Seems pretty simple to me. Don't protest in front of the justice's house. Go protest somewhere else. I don't even know if it's okay to protest in front of the Supreme Court building. Sorry, I got like the burps or something. I don't even know if it's okay to protest in front of the Supreme Court. It doesn't mention the Supreme Court here. It just mentions the justices. So maybe you can just go in front of the Supreme Court, but don't go to people's houses. Why are you going to people's houses? Do we need mobs of people in front of people's houses? No, I don't think so. I wouldn't want a mob in front of my house. I don't think you want a mob in front of your house, regardless of what position you hold in government. Like, no one wants a group in front of their houses. But I'm gonna move on from the law here. I want to talk about some of these tweets here, because obviously people are talking about the Supreme Court and the shooting that happened recently. So let's see here. One peaceful protest outside a Supreme Court justice's house, and Congress acted in 24 hours to pass a bill to protect their families. 3 deadly mass shootings in 3 days, and Congress won't do a damn thing. So I'm not sure what bill he's referring to here, but it's clearly illegal to protest outside of a Supreme Court justice's house. I'm assuming they just extended it to family then too. I'm not entirely sure there. But what do you want the government to do about the mass shootings? Like, really, what do you want them to do? Now, this guy in New York, he was 18 years old and he had an AR-15. Now, I couldn't imagine myself 3 years ago with an AR-15. So I would be all for raising the age limit for firearms to 21 or 25. But I don't even know if that's the right thing to do. Maybe what we need to do is, instead of changing what age people can get the firearms, make it mandatory to go to a firearm safety class. That way everyone knows what a gun looks like, how it works, how to load it, how to dismantle it, how to properly store it, how to properly store the ammo, when to properly use it, and just a whole list of things that you need to know when using a firearm. But no, we don't do that in this country. We get rid of butt stocks. We get rid of stupid things. You can't have sawed-off shotguns in some states. You can't. You have to wait 10 days after purchasing your firearm. Like, me waiting 10 days is gonna do anything. Like, if I'm gonna go start something. Why is me waiting 10 days going to change that I will start something in 10 days? Like, the waiting thing doesn't make sense. The only thing that helps is, I'm angry and I go angry by a gun. I can't immediately walk out that same day angry and with a gun. I guess that it stops that. But how many people are really walking into gun stores angry and buying guns? And I'm pretty sure the gun owner or the shop owner, he sees that. He's just going to say that I refuse to sell to you. Because that can happen. They can refuse to sell to you if they think you aren't going to be safe with your firearm. So, what laws do you propose that we pass that Congress passes? 3 deadly mass shootings in 3 days. especially because, first of all, Congress shouldn't be passing any laws restricting firearms until they amend the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment clearly states that the right to bear arms should not or cannot be infringed upon, yet it is infringed upon every day in multiple different states and by our federal government. And people like him call on Congress to do more restrictions when they aren't even supposed to be allowed to. So we need to amend the Constitution if we want to do that first, guys. But I don't agree with that. I'm just saying that that's what we would have to do. If Republicans in Congress can issue protections for Supreme Court justices after peaceful protests, they should protect the American people from out-of-control gun violence after 3 mass shootings in 2 days. So these arguments really just don't make sense. Republicans in Congress issue protections. So I don't know if it's Republicans that made the law, but that law has already been a thing. You aren't supposed to protest in front of the Supreme Court justices, regardless of if it is peaceful or not. You're not allowed to do that in front of their houses, Hillary. Now, and she says people from out-of-control gun violence after 3 mass shootings in 2 days. Yeah, those mass shootings were violent. They were horrible. I had one here in Orange County in California. Thankfully, the people, the churchgoers, were able to subdue him and hogtie him. Unfortunately, I know some doctor had lost his life trying to save people there. And then the shooting in Buffalo, another horrible shooting. What could we have done different? If we ban all of the guns in the world, or all of the guns in the United States, these people would have used other weapons. It doesn't make sense. Banning guns doesn't prevent people from doing bad things. If these people want to go hurt people, they will go hurt people. They can go get acid. They can go get household chemicals and mix them together to make all kinds of different bioweapons, whatever you want to call them. You can get different chemical compounds, mix them together, make bombs. You can make chemical irritants. You can do all kinds of things very easily. I can get multiple different knives. I can purchase a 22 caliber pellet gun on Amazon, and I get no background checks, and I don't even have to prove that I'm 18 years old to purchase it. It can put a hole in an apple this big, and it's not a real gun. So I can get things like that. People can make things like that at home. How is that gonna protect people? If people want to do bad things, they're gonna do bad things. Just because guns exist doesn't mean, or if guns didn't exist, doesn't mean they wouldn't try to do these same things. They would just use a different means at hurting these people. I would hope that that's obvious to some people, but clearly it's not. Clearly everyone just wants to point the finger and be like, that's the problem. Now, guns obviously are, to some extent, a problem, but I think the problem lies with people are afraid of them because they don't know how to use them. They don't know what to do with them. If people had more training and knew what to do when they saw a gun or saw someone with a gun or had their own gun to defend themselves, I'm sure stories like this wouldn't happen nearly as often. But that's just me personally. And we have more tweets here. Ilhan Omar, I'm pretty sure this one was a pretty stupid one. It keeps trying to, it's Twitter. They keep trying to like flip the tweets around. I'm not even hitting anything. Come on, load here. All right, so Ilhan Omar, what did she say? It's a little hard for me to take the It's a little hard for me to take the hand-wringing about nonviolent protest outside the homes of Supreme Court justice seriously when the Supreme Court itself ruled protest outside the homes of doctors who provide abortions is protected by the First Amendment. Of course it is. Of course it is. Why wouldn't it be? The doctors who provide abortions, so you mean abortion doctors. Abortion doctors obviously have no say in the ruling of law, so why wouldn't you be able to go protest them? The whole reason you're not allowed to go protest outside the Supreme Court or the Supreme Court justices' homes, sorry, I misspoke. I don't know if you're allowed to protest outside the Supreme Court or not. Google that one. But you're for sure not allowed to protest outside of their homes. And that's because they don't want you influencing the ruling by the Supreme Court justices. The doctors who provide abortions have no say in those rulings. So clearly, protesting them is protected by the First Amendment. Now, if these justices were no longer a part of the court, or they had no say in law, this law would not apply. They wouldn't even have it. The only reason it exists is so that people don't try to protest these judges to influence the law. That's literally the only reason the law exists. Doctors who provide abortions can be protested. That's just a fact. And they should be, personally. Thousands of pro-choice protesters from Capitol Hill and the Supreme Court as the Bans Off Our Bodies protest kicks off. Organizers say that almost 400 rallies are scheduled today in major cities all across the country. Retweet if you support the protest. Thousands of pro-choice protesters storm Capitol Hill. Bans Off Our Bodies. Bans Off Our Bodies? Is that supposed to be the group? Because I don't even know what that means. Bans Off Our Bodies. What are they banning you from doing with your body? Oh, they're banning you from murdering your child inside your body. Oh. Why is that a bad ban? Like, I really don't get it. I really don't. You know, I fully understand people's point of view of the government. We don't want the government saying what people can, especially women, you know, because women are the ones that carry these children. But we don't want the government saying what women can do with their bodies. Clearly, I agree with that. But it's really hard for me to stay on that line when I know for a fact that is a human life that they're carrying. It is not their body. They don't have 2 hearts. They don't have 20 fingers. They don't have 20 toes. They don't have 4 feet. They don't have 4 hands. They don't have 2 heads. It's a separate person. And arguing otherwise just leads you off a cliff. It just drops off into the abyss because you can't follow that path of thought. You literally can't. If you just go into critical thinking for just a moment, life begins at conception. 9 months later, it comes out the vaginal canal. Now it's a human baby. At what point did it become a human baby? Was it at conception, or was it at some point during those 9 months? We need to find the line so everyone can point at it and be like, there it is, that's too far. There it is, that's a human life. But no, we can't even have that debate, because the second you bring up that it's not the woman's body, you just get shut down and yelled at, and all they say is that it is the woman's body. Now, I don't agree, and these conversations are going to keep happening. I personally love to have these conversations. I don't like to insult people during conversations. I really try to avoid that. But, you know, sometimes it does happen, and I apologize for it when it does. But these conversations need to keep happening. It's a really strong and difficult moral question. We don't want the government having control over our bodies, but we want the government to protect us from other people harming our bodies. It's a really difficult conversation to have, but it's a conversation that we need to continue to have. And, you know, I just hope that at some point we can come to some middle ground, or, you know, we can finally start convincing people to come to our side, or maybe I'll finally start hearing arguments to convince me to go to their side. I'm 100% convincible. I just don't get convinced that easily. I need proof. I need someone to change my mind. You know, I believe that it's a human life. You have to change my opinion. You have to tell me how that is not a human life that that woman is carrying. I fully agree the government shouldn't be able to tell her what she can do with her body, but I also agree that she shouldn't be able to tell other people what they can do with their body. That includes the one that she conceived and is now carrying. Well, I'm going to leave it there. If you like this video, please subscribe, share the video, leave a like, leave a comment, tell me, you know, if I said anything that you thought was wrong, please tell me in the comments. If I said something you thought was right and you agree with me, please tell me in the comments. If there's something I missed, if there's an argument I missed from the pro-choice or the pro-life side, please remind me in the comments. I'd love to have a conversation with some of you. Other than that, I'll probably have an update to this at some point. It's still an ongoing situation. But other than that, subscribe to me on YouTube, subscribe to me on Rumble, and peace out.